The mortgage crisis is sending shockwaves through the economy, impacting everything from credit to Wall Street. But one ripple effect that's not getting as much attention is this: what impact the housing crisis is having on the 2010 census. Joining me now live here in the studio with more is Amy Morris, executive editor at Federal News Radio, AM 1500. Amy, it's always great to see you. Thanks for being here tonight. Sure. So it's hard enough to get the census accurate and do it thoroughly. Yeah. But with thousands of people losing their homes, this is making counting the number of Americans even harder than it already is, right?
You nailed it. It's not everybody, but a lot of people are being displaced. They're living in vans, trailers, with friends, with in-laws, with relatives, and it's hard to find them. Now the canvassing, it's called address canvassing, that starts at the end of this month. And that's when the Census Bureau goes out and tries to find the actual addresses where people are living and cross-references to them to what they already have on file, just to make sure they've got everybody's address down. This isn't the count. This is just to make sure they have all the addresses. And as you know, in the past 10 years, a lot of subdivisions have come up, a lot of subdivisions have gone down, a lot of people have moved, and they have to make sure those addresses are legit. It's even harder now because you may have a legitimate address, but nobody's living there.
Right. And you may be living in a place right now, and then
you're displaced.
And then you're displaced, and then you're not living at that address when time comes to actually do the census.
It's not something they really were able to even factor in. It's a huge X factor.
Is there anything in the stimulus package that was just passed that is going to try to address this?
You bet. It's about $1 billion. They're going to take a part of that $1 billion, and they're going to use outreach, advertising, anything they can to partner with the communities to make sure that everybody knows that the address canvassing is going on, that the count is coming. The count is congressionally mandated. They got to do it. They can't not do it. So they have to make sure that everybody is aware. So they're going to use some of that $1 billion to make sure that everybody is aware that this is happening, partnering with communities and neighborhoods to get the word out.
Why is an accurate census count so incredibly critical right now at this point?
Billions of dollars to go to roads and infrastructure and neighborhoods and state and local governments, and to redistrict areas, and for who's going to represent who in Congress. It's everything that you think of when you think of Capitol Hill, that you think of when you think of government and the infrastructure. A lot of that is based on the money you're going to get appropriated because of the numbers that show up in the census. All of that data is critical. They got to do it.
Yeah, critical because the congressional districts depend on who's living where.
Exactly.
But the Census Bureau comes under fire every time about a year out from the census for not being ready to do its job. Is it ready this time?
Well, that depends on who you ask. If you ask the census,
they say yes.
They say yes. They have to, and they're ready, and they're hiring people, even temporary workers, to help them get this done. Oh, thousands, to bring them in, even to start the address canvassing, because the count doesn't start till next year, but they've got to do with all the prep work now. But GAO, the Government Accountability Office, they say, okay, while you seem to be getting your ducks in a row, you're not quite ready yet. You're playing beat the clock. You're kind of working without a net. $14 billion is the cost so far, and they haven't even started the count yet. And there are some IT systems that they needed to have in place that they weren't in place, the very famous handheld story, where they're not going to be able to do the follow-up count with the handheld. They have to use paper and pen. Those systems are not dovetailing together, so there are some problems. And the acting director of the census acknowledges that.
All right, Amy Morris, thank you so much.
Thanks.